Do you recall the year 2020? The Swiss watch market was similarly affected in the setbacks in major international markets. Now, Swiss watch sales have recovered, and in the first 7 months of 2022, exports rose by 11.4%. In this video, we analyze current developments in the Swiss watch industry and discuss which nations haven't yet recovered. This year, people are spending money on watches, and if you're wondering why, we have the explanation. But before we do that, hi, this is Ava, and if you're new to this channel, please subscribe to be updated for more upcoming videos like this. As Geneva Watch Days get started, LVMH Bulgari is enjoying much greater growth despite predictions to the contrary. First, however, let's begin with the initial facts used in market analysis. Did you know that the American market has not reached saturation? Americans had to pay $6 a gallon for gas this year, while cartons of eggs cost the entire farm. It has been a design failure. But Americans continue to purchase expensive watches despite rising costs and interest rates. In the first half of 2021, Swiss watch shipments to the United States climbed by 31.4%, and the country is currently responsible for almost 16% of all Swiss watch exports this year. Similar percentage gains were achieved by the United Kingdom, whose exports increased by 31.8%. Not to be outdone, several sizable European nations, notably Germany, France, and Spain, have seen significant increases in exports. Export growth increased by 25.4% for Germany, 36.5% for France, and a staggering 41.8% for Spain. However, Asia remains where Swiss watches are most popular, corresponding to precisely 49% of the total value of Swiss exports this year. Odd, isn't it? The fast-growing markets are in North America and Europe, but only 2 of Switzerland's top 15 export destinations, Hong Kong and China, saw negative growth in 2017. Of those 15, 11 had a double-digit percentile increase. The Federation of the Swiss Watch Industry study highlights that further deliveries to the U.S. market mainly resulted from the difficulties with delivery in China, which is consistent with the opinions of many different retailers and collectors. We are all aware that throughout the year, there have been widespread lockdowns and restrictions in mainland China that have closed countless stores and distribution hubs and slowed the passage of Chinese nationals abroad. So naturally, this had a detrimental effect on the export of Swiss watches to China and Hong Kong. However, the following few months appear promising, with Hong Kong's exports increasing by 11.5% and China's exports rising by 26.3%. Swiss watch shipments to Russia continue to decline due to worldwide criticism over the invasion of Ukraine. Gains from exports have decreased by 64.3% thus far. As a result, many Swiss watchmakers, notably the Swatch Group, Richemont, LVMH, Rolex, and Patek Philippe, stopped selling and exporting watches to Russia. The total volume of Swiss watches exported to Russia has plummeted by more than 98% since the Ukraine crisis. Russian watches were shipped to Switzerland for 260.1 million Swiss francs in the entire year 2021, according to the Federation of the Swiss Watch Industry. Russia was ranked as the 17th largest market for Swiss watches in 2016. After deducting 98% of that sum, you're left with hardly more than 5 million Swiss francs. That is only one Richard Mille, which, as we previously stated, does not look good. High-end watches, as opposed to timepieces with an export price of less than 500 Swiss francs, drive the growth. Over 15% more watches, with individual export prices of over 3,000 Swiss francs, were exported this year than last. It's a little shocking to learn that there is such a disparity between inventory numbers and individual worth, given all the accolades around the high values of the exports. The overall number of Swiss watches is reportedly at an all-time low, reaching less than half of the statistics recorded 10 years ago, as the Federation of the Swiss watch industry pointedly observes in its report. With 11.3 billion Swiss francs, record was achieved for exports in the first half of 2022, with a total export value of all wristwatches offered by Swiss watchmakers. So you can see that exclusivity works. People's attitudes are still optimistic for the time being, but we don't know how long that will endure. Before we continue, if you want your comments to be highlighted, you might want to try our super thanks or join our membership program to support this channel more. And make sure to finish the video, okay? The CEO of Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy-owned jewelry and watch company Bulgari, Sir Jean-Christophe Babon, asserted that the company was increasing its market share because its watch business was growing far higher than the pace of Swiss watch exports. Despite the Ukraine crisis and inflation raising concerns over the past 2 years, watch exports are still very close to all-time highs, according to Edouard Mailong, the head of the independent watch brand H. Moser & Company. Despite some supply constraints for watch cases and bands, sales were up by more than a quarter this year. And he continued, "We need to seize the moment while it lasts, but we also need to prepare for a slowdown." But let's be honest, there has recently been a lot of activity in the watch market. For instance, Rolex recently increased its prices in Japan and the UK. Rolex increased the price of its watches in the UK due to the pound slide to practically its lowest level in more than 3 decades versus the US dollar. The leading Swiss luxury watch firm hiked the pricing of its watches sold in Britain by an average of 5% on September 1st, a company representative revealed. The British pound's value over the US dollar dropped nearly its lowest level since 1985 at $1.15 before the price hike, initially observed by trade publication Watch Pro. When the pound value dropped, Rolex watches became more affordable in the UK compared to other markets. For example, according to Watch Pro, a GMT Master 2 with a red and blue bezel now costs £9,000 instead of £8,400, while the price of a Rolex Submariner without a date function increased from £7,150 to £7,500. In most significant regions, including the US and the UK, Rolex raised prices in January by an equivalent percentage. The most well-known luxury brand in Switzerland, Rolex, has yearly sales of almost 8 billion Swiss francs and a market share of nearly 29%. However, since the demand for Rolex watches has long outpaced supply, most customers must join waiting lists with authorized dealers and wait months or even years before receiving the call. So do you think that inflation is keeping everyone on their toes? About 40 manufacturers will be present at the Geneva Watch Days this year. This unofficial industry gathering first occurred in 2020. What transpires throughout the event? The displays are more accessible than the Spring's Rare Watches and Wonders Expo because they are shown at hotels and stores throughout the city. Guido Torreni, the chief executive of Santos Family Foundation-owned niche brand Parmigiani, stated that the company could not meet demand, which had climbed 4.5 times from the previous year despite not taking part in the event this year. However, when asked once if it would become profitable, the former Bugatti executive said, "We're getting there." According to American retailer Danny Govberg, the co-founder and chairman of the watch marketplace Watchbox, the market for new watches is still strong, with waiting lists for several models. British retailer Watches of Switzerland mirrored Govberg's comments from August of this year. In an email, Govberg did draw attention to the fact that secondary market prices have fallen since stabilizing. He noted that this differential has dropped from its all-time highs in early spring 2022. If secondary watch prices fell far below primary watch pricing, it might hurt the demand for new timepieces. John Cox, a Kepler Chevreux analyst, predicted this would happen, but it hasn't happened yet. However, whatever transpires, we'll be here to let you know about it. With the notable exception of China and Hong Kong, demand for Swiss timepieces climbed globally throughout the first half of this year, with watch exports rising to the bulk of markets. The Federation of the Swiss watch industry claims that macroeconomic, geopolitical, and health factors mostly had little impact on the sector's performance during the first half of 2022. However, despite this fast growth, the industry has reached a record low, accounting for less than half of the totals from 10 years ago. Did you know that the industry's fortunes had plummeted since 2015 when Apple released its timepiece, the Apple Watch? As a result, Apple surpassed Swiss watchmaker Swatch in 2018 to earn the top spot in the watch sector for the first time. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Again, this is Ava, and don't forget to hit the notification bell for more updates. Before leaving, did you know who the youngest kid billionaire in the world is? I bet this person doesn't even have to worry about a Swiss watch's cost. If you want to know who this is and if you could be friends, click and watch this video here.